Now, so how long did you work in municipal, or I guess, I don't know.
For Clarington?
Yeah, for Clarington.
Almost 20 years.
Right. Yeah, so you saw quite an evolution in that era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And especially because I remembered what it was like from when I grew up here versus, what then happened while you were working here.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a lot of the conversations that I've had, especially for people who had decades of experience one way or another here, is the change. And a lot of the stories seem to focus around the idea that when they came, regardless of decade, really, I don't know whether we're talking they were born here or 40s or 50s or 60s or whatever, was that you were coming to something that was in the country. And one of the women said she moved like only from Pickering or something like that way, but that she couldn't sleep here because it was so quiet. She could hear all the crickets. So a lot of the conversation center around the fact that it doesn't feel as separate anymore as it did, and certainly along that Curtis border. Yeah, kind of that push.
Yeah. Well, mine is less the focus of sort of Camp 30 and the Second World War and all that kind of stuff. It's more on the fact that this is the only national historic site that exists in Clarington. That should be really celebrated, and there are reasons for that national designation, and there are 3 reasons for that national designation, one of which is architecture. And there's, people's knowledge of architecture is not really, really strong, so that's one of the things that I normally sort of talk about when I'm out there. The other one is the whole history of the boys' training school and that type of institution, and the fact that this was designed by provincial architects as part of that whole institution. And then, of course, the Camp 30, which is really sort of the sexy years when you're doing a tour or whatever, right?
But you're right that people can get caught up in the little years inside of a giant amount of time.
Yeah.
To me, what I noticed when I went out there is that I wasn't expecting it to have been as refined in the architecture, and you have to look past the current state, but the glory of the way they chose to build that, which you would never do now because it isn't efficient building, right? But the kind of prairie style, Frank Lloyd Wright-esque type features were really surprising to me.
Yeah. Plus the whole sort of sustainability story behind it, like the fact that they hit gas while they were building, and so they actually used that gas in the district heating system. The whole way that they used the creek to be their firefighting area, that they also flooded down in the valley to use it for sports in the wintertime and stuff like that. Like, there was a whole sort of sustainability. They had a farm, all that kind of stuff that went with it, which is what, in planning terms, we are now trying to do.
I was just going to say, that feels like a dream of what people talk about as like a dream project now, within a municipality.
Yeah, the innovation around that sustainability and independence, and the site is still like that because it's been cut off services just by the location right now, and the interest that people have in that environmental side would really be very interesting to develop further. People would really connect with that.
It's an interesting idea to take, like, if the history piece isn't enough to engage, do you branch out and you say, can we engage on the architecture front? Can we engage on the environmental sustainability front? Like, it is a really remarkable site in there.
And I think that's one of the challenges for us, is that there are so many different focuses that one could take. The upside of that is that there's a huge number of populations that would connect with the site because of those various things.